Konnichiwa, I'm John Hornick. Welcome to my Japanese Faves series where we'll cover every major type of Japanese food. This lesson is Hamachi Shabu Shabu. Lesson 16 of my Learning to Cook Like a Pro course was Beef Shabu Shabu. Shabu Shabu is a usually one-pot dish that I discovered during my first trip to Japan. Traditionally, a thinly sliced protein, like highly marbled beef, is cooked at the table in a hot pot of water, either by the guest or by a server dedicated to your table. Shabu Shabu describes the sound that the food makes as it plunges into the hot water, which becomes a broth as you cook. Here we're using hamachi, aka yellowtail, and vegetables, which the guests cook themselves in a simmering dish set on a small sterno-fueled hibachi burner. Two guests will share each simmering dish and burner, but you could use a large pot like a Dutch oven set on a portable butane burner, as in my Dunabi 7 lesson and in some other lessons. After the hamachi cooks for a few seconds, the guests dip it in ponzu sauce and eat it with chopsticks. The vegetables take a little longer to cook. When the hamachi and veg are gone, you make the shime course, which is a finishing course that makes use of the flavorful broth, usually by adding rice or noodles. Here, we're going to add rice to the broth, which has been flavored by the hamachi and the vegetables. The rice porridge is then plated for each guest. This dish will make you a shabu shabu lover like me. Note, I don't verbally walk you through the cooking and eating of this dish because I'm serving it to guests, but the steps should be clear from the video and the captions. So let's start cooking. All right, now we're going to make the broth for the hamachi shabu shabu, and we're going to start with 2 cups of dashi, I make my dashi fresh. I have a separate lesson on making dashi. It doesn't take much time at all, actually. Then we want to add 1 teaspoon of shoyu, which is Japanese soy sauce. Then we want to add 1 teaspoon of Usukuchi soy sauce. Now this is light colored soy sauce, not to be confused with light soy sauce. Light soy sauce is lighter in sodium than regular soy sauce, but light colored soy sauce is actually has more sodium than regular soy sauce. And then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of mirin. And again, that light colored soy sauce is called Usukuchi soy sauce, or shoyu, which is the Japanese word for soy sauce. Usukuchi Shoyu in Japanese. And then 1 teaspoon of sake. All right, so that was 2 cups dashi, 1 teaspoon of shoyu, 1 teaspoon of Usukuchi shoyu, 1 teaspoon of mirin, and 1 teaspoon of sake. So this is the broth for our hamachi shabu shabu. All right, now we're going to slice the hamachi to be used in the shabu shabu, and we want it to be sliced very thinly, about 1/4 inch, maybe even slightly less. And I'm going to use this knife, which is flat on one side. It's called a yanigaba, but you could use any sharp slicing knife. And the idea is not to slice, not to saw it, but to start at one end where you want it to cut and to draw your knife through it and make a cut. Okay? And we're going to do that with the whole piece. And we're going to cut them all the same thickness, but you'll notice that the piece of fish, it tapers down toward the tail. And so we want to give everybody about the same weight of hamachi, which would mean that some will get more pieces because they'll be getting their cut from closer to the tail. And what that will really mean is that I will probably take those smaller pieces, but more of them, and give the larger pieces and fewer of them to our guests. Okay, there we go. 1/4-inch slices all the way through. And now we'll portion these, I said, so that each guest will get roughly the same weight of hamachi. All right, now we're going to serve some ponzu sauce to each guest. And the way I'm going to do it tonight is I'm going to take these little dishes, and I have filled up this little shoyu container with ponzu sauce. And I'm going to put one of these down in front of each guest and pour the sauce in there while it's in front of the guest. 2 reasons for doing that. One is it makes a nice presentation, and it's also the way it's often done in Japan. And 2, it's less likely that these will spill over as they're being transferred from the prep area to the table. Okay, now we're going to prep the burners that we're going to use for the shabu shabu. And I'm going to use these little, what we call in America, hibachi type burners. And they have these clay cups inside, and we put down inside a container of sterno, light the sterno, put the screen over the top, and then we're going to put our bowl. This is the bowl that we're going to use. We'll put this on top of the burner after we light it. We'll put some broth in there until it comes about 3/4 of the way up, and that's what we'll use to, once it gets hot, we'll use that to cook the shabu shabu. Now I'm not going to show that on camera because I'm going to be serving guests. Now, if you don't have little burners like this, you could use something like one of these Burton burners, butane burners. They use butane cans, and a larger bowl on top. You can use either donabe bowl, an actual Japanese donabe, because I have a lot of donabe lessons, or you could use any kind of a bowl that's heat proof. You could even use a Dutch oven.